This is part 4 of how I became an Episcopalian. I joined the ministry house and I had a discipler. This discipler had been a Christian in Xenos for a few years before me. He was just a college-age student at the time I met him. And he was, like I said, he was in Xenos for a while, and he got into a leadership role in the high school group, and then they paired me with him. The way Xenos functioned was basically like a pyramid scheme. The Christian mentor, the discipler, would get a few people under him, a few disciples under him, which he would train in the Christian faith. And then ideally, they would get trained up to be Christian leaders themselves. We would give them people to mentor disciples, and then those disciples would get trained up in Christian leadership. They would get disciples, so on and so forth. It was a whole system of making disciples among the nations. We took that verse very seriously. And it was good to have that leadership training. I learned a lot about the Bible. I learned a lot about evangelical Christian faith, and even a little bit of Christian history because of it. They asked me to attend leadership training classes, and almost everyone in the college group, that was like a big goal for everyone to go to leadership training classes, which is more or less like a seminary, like a very young seminary for college-age students in a makeshift Bible study. We would get taught by one of the elders of the church on different parts of the Bible. We would go through Romans and have an entire semester based on Romans. We would go through the history of the church. We would go through like demonic possession and what we do when it comes to demons. Like, it was a very intense leadership training class that taught me a lot about Christianity and a lot about the Bible and how to read and how to study the Bible. So, it was good for that. But the problem was I was not someone who was progressing. I was having a lot of issues with my own mental health, with my depression. I tried to be openly gay for as long as I possibly could. Yet I had all my leaders in my Bible study came and talked to me and said, you cannot be gay and be a Christian. I had late night talks with various members of my ministry house, my brothers in Christ, and they would say the same thing. Most of these conversations ended up with me in awful tears. And I just had to live with this awful dissonance of a loving God who accepted me completely, but yet he didn't want me to be gay. And that prevented me of really progressing in Christianity, according to them.